Hi guys, welcome back to Force Multiplied TV. It's Paul here. Hope you're all keeping well. Some instant reaction to the NFL tonight with the Eagles playing the Rams in a snowy wonderland for the Eagles tonight. They've come out winners 28-22. Went right down to the wire, didn't it? I think you can come out from hiding behind your sofa if you're Eagles fans. It looked like they had hit sort of like home and hose, but Stafford, the gunslinger himself, came sort of firing back, and it looked like, for all the world, he could probably go in for a winning touchdown, but just that vital sack on third down really sort of made it too much, for the Rams in the end. The no huddle offense really did sort of work the trick in terms of unlocking the Eagles towards the end. I always find that when you get into those sort of leads, teams tend to sort of play almost like a prevent defense where they sit off too much. And the problem with that is that often I've seen it with a lot of teams, not just the Eagles, and they get sort of 13-14 up and they drop off so much that teams sort of march up the field relatively easily because then there's no sort of rush in the pass. There's no really sort of sack threat at that point. So I really think they went a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure the rights and wrongs of it, but equally, I see it a lot of times when teams get sort of 14-21 up, and they tend to almost give away the first touchdown, and then when teams are back in the game, they obviously then scramble back to sort of the original defense. But 28-22, the Eagles into the NFC conference final game next weekend, and they'll obviously play the Washington Commanders on that, so a divisional game as well, obviously on that front. So yeah, Hertz was 15-20, 128 uh, on that side, and we've got Stafford was 26 of 44, 324 and two touchdowns. And obviously Hertz ran the key touchdown, obviously early doors, that run for himself, fantastic run. Obviously, amazing rushing from Barkley today. 26 carries, 205 yards, two touchdowns. One of those were, I think, early on in the game, the first sort of quarter and a bit, both teams were really throwing the ball around, knowing that the snow was obviously coming. You had the run from Hertz. You had some good runs on their side as well. I generally felt it was a funny game because you didn't see much of Puka really on their side or Cooper Cup. It was very much Higby that was really doing it for them. And on the obviously the side for the Eagles, for a long time, it was very much people like Goddard. I feel they went away from Goddard, for a fair. Obviously, when it's snowing, and they were obviously, naturally, as you would do when you got someone like Barkley, they're very much leaning on Barkley. But yeah, the Eagles come out a good winner. I felt it was always going to be a tough game. I've really rated the Rams. I knew that the minute they were, as I've mentioned in sort of other videos, knew that the minute, that when they were fully fit, this would be a really tough ask. I mean, obviously the Eagles going to come out really pretty banged up after that. I mean, I think Hertz has got a brace on his knee. There's a few other players that came out really banged up on that game. Apart from that, good mentions obviously for Darius Slay. Gardner Johnson made some great plays. Bourne made some great plays on the defense. Carter obviously made that great play towards the end as well. There was Dijon could have had an interception really coming down the stretch. So yeah, look, whenever you're only conceding, sort of 22 points to a high-powered offense like the Rams, albeit in the snow, I think the defense played well. You can't really argue on that. There's obviously plenty of sacks on both sides in this game, but yeah, all in all, could have gone either which way in this game. I think the Rams, but the Eagles had opportunities where I thought was it two or three times they were in sort of 30-yard range and they get penalties, or they ended up punting, or they would get sacks. I thought that was going to hurt the Eagles for a long time, but they managed to sort of keep himself ahead. And then obviously punched himself clear with that long Barkley run towards the end. I think in terms of the Rams, I mean, they were in it for a very long time in this game, and they'll probably rue the fact that they probably didn't go to the no huddle offense a little bit earlier. I always feel that when you've got the Eagles defense a little bit on the back foot, they're not making sort of substitutions, and it's a little bit more suited to the way Matt Stafford plays and with his wide receivers, and maybe a little bit more confidence and in them sort of throwing the ball. He obviously saw that phenomenal catch by Puka towards the end. Would it have been a different game if the Rams had started sort of throwing earlier on? I'm not sure. It's a tricky one. You tend to play the conditions, especially when the game's tight. But equally, the Rams are what they are. Their strengths are their wide receivers and maybe a little bit more sort of punching it downfield. With passing may have sort of borne more fruit for them. As for the Eagles, some, as I say, fantastic running. Solid enough performance from Hurts. Obviously, some great runs. Sometimes he get the downfall that I find with Hurts, which is not it's not a huge criticism, but there is one, is the fact that he holds onto the ball for too long. I do think that's an element of quarterbacks in this generation when they're always looking to try and make a play with their legs. But when he does get sacked a few too many times, when he could probably throw the ball away and avoid this sack, and I think does sometimes take them out of field goals or put them in, and you never know if the Eagles are lucky enough to face somebody like the Chiefs, you can't really afford to keep giving sort of points away. So whilst you gain obviously a lot of pluses, with his performance, equally I don't think you can keep taking sacks when you're when you're in field goal range, or just making really holding on to the ball that little bit too long. I don't. I think that's just an area that they need to really sort of sharpen up. If they're looking to obviously win the whole, Super Bowl. It's obviously an instant reaction from myself. I've got the other game on at the moment, which is the Ravens have gone 7-0 up against the Bills. Great drive, by the Ravens on that as we speak. So 28-22. Great win for the Ravens. I think the Rams have had a great season. They bounced back from obviously a lot of injuries early doors. Eagles have just been on a great run. They'll go up against the Commanders. Divisional game. It'll be interesting. A lot of it will depend on the health of the Eagles. They'll be at home in that game, but the state what Hurts is going to be in. They're going to lean on Barkley. Can Jaden, for Washington, put up the numbers again? Eagles are going to be favoured to win that, but it'll be an interesting game to watch, on that front, guys. And more instant reaction to come. As I say, 28-22, fantastic game to watch, right the way down to the wire. This game had played a bit of everything, really, big plays. Some great quarterback plays, some great catches, from the likes of Puka towards the end. I thought Goddard, played really well for Philadelphia. I think Goddard's a really good player. He almost gets underused, if anything, for Philadelphia. I think they should actually lean on him a little bit more. He was very much the sort of safety blanket for Philadelphia. I think he's a really underrated player, Dallas Goddard, for myself. Fantastic play by the defense. And as I say, great play by Rams to get to this point. Shouts, really on their side would be for people like Robinson, played superb. Obviously Puka got the big one catch towards the end. Higbee was probably their main threat really as well. Kobe Turner's always something that I always think is a fantastic player on their end. Verse played well. Looking obviously going down the list. Just a great performance by both teams, really. The kickers did well in those conditions, as well. So, we march on. Another instant reaction to come up later on with the Ravens versus the Bills. And as I say, next week it will be the NFC matchup between the Eagles and the Washington Redskins. And let's see how the Eagles come out in terms of the health of Hurts. Will be a major, obviously, concern for themselves. I'm sure he'll obviously be playing in it. But his mobility really does have a big impact. And, I'm sure their defense, if they've got anyone left healthy, will have obviously a lot to say in that game against Washington. And let's see how that pans out. But we'll preview that next week. Have a great evening, guys. Speak to you more soon. Take care.